In this video, I'm going to show you how to join objects that are in two different visas or virtual identity server adapters into a single merged object. So in this particular case, I'm going to show you how to merge and join objects that live in the SQL Server. You can see this is in our OU equals SQL visa. So this is SQL data that's being represented as LDAP data through VIS with AD objects. So if we look at my identity, you can see that my SAM account name is Mike Brangs, and over in the SQL my UID is equal to Mike Brangs, and I actually have that set for several users here. So I'm going to use those two attributes to do my join. We can set up and use joins across any attribute. Maybe it's employee ID if that's unique within your enterprise. It could be any attributes. My particular case, these are already populated and I can do a join based on that. So I'm going to go through the join wizard here, and notice it assumes user object class because that's a pretty common case. I'm going to choose AD and do SAM account name, and then choose the SQL visa, and I'm going to choose that UID attribute. So there we are. We have our join wizard connected. There's only one other thing we need to do, and what we need to do is once we've created this join amongst the two visas we have to tell VIS what attributes we want to care about taking from the source object. So in my particular case here, I want a couple of attributes off the SQL data. So one of the things I might want is cost center here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up an attribute precedence here, and I'm going to tell VIS that for the main part, the main object is AD. The child visa is SQL, and this is what we know is running in attribute precedence mode. Because I have a precedence set here on the SQL, that makes the AD object for a joined object the primary object, and the SQL object will be the lesser. So I'm going to go ahead and set up an attribute precedence, do create attribute precedence. The object class, of course, is user because that's between the two, and then notice I do get a drop down of all the different attributes or columns rather in the database. I'm going to choose cost center. So let's go ahead and just copy that so we have a new cost center attribute precedence, and put a space, save, and then finally, of course, we do need to do a save XML. So I'm going to do a save, exit, come here and do a restart of the service. So now it will take the new configuration. So what we've done is we've basically said if the UID in SQL matches up with the SAM account name in Active Directory, it's the same user object, we should join them, and then further told VIS and the attributes that we care about out of SQL Server is cost center. I could of course go grab extra data too beyond cost center. That doesn't exist in AD, but I could also set up an attribute precedent for like email. So email exists in both directories, right, or directories, both data sources, but we can set up precedents to say take the one from SQL. SQL one is valid, the one in Active Directory is not, or vice versa. So we can actually let VIS or tell VIS which of the two should be authoritative for the data. So I'm going to assume that the service is back up and running, and we'll come back up here to VIS, do a refresh, come here to SQL, and notice when I go to the SQL, those other objects, all of the joined objects don't show up under SQL anymore. So I'll come over here to AD, go to the employees node, and look at my identity, and sure enough, there's cost center, and you can see cost center came in and it's coming from the SQL visa. We pass back extra metadata in the request, which this application consumes and displays here of where the data came from. So we've got a joined view of me coming from both AD and SQL. So now we can surface cost center to an application without having to synchronize this data in AD, extend the schema of AD. A simple join on the fly is done here through VIS. And in fact, if we come here to me and scroll over to like the UID column and change my UID here in the SQL database, you'll notice that I will be instantly unjoined. So a refresh here, and cost center is no longer appears on my AD object, and I appear down here in the SQL node. So Setting up joins is as simple as that between AD and SQL. See another video talking about persisted joins and join cache and how that can be leveraged and used within high volume instances.